Hello everybody, I welcome you to the new topic, that is drugs for Parkinson disease, and I expect you to take the pen and paper and note down each and every points. I hope you'll be listening to the video very carefully. So let's begin. First thing first, we need to know the word neurodegenerative disorders. Neurodegenerative disorders. ठीक है, neuro means of course neurons or the nerve cells. Degenerative, right? We can say this one is a destructive also. Degeneration as well as destructive, where the neurons are getting broken down, or the neurons are getting damaged day by day. As we are growing older, the neurons are getting broken down, or you can say destructed, right? So as a definition you'll find, neurodegenerative disease are related to progressive degeneration or damage of the brain cells, including neurons. Inside the brain, apart from neurons also, we got another brain cells, right? Glial cells, we found that one, right? So both neurons as well as other brain cells are getting destructed day by day, and these diseases primarily occur in the later stages of life. It is a progressive disorder. Okay, it's not like that today I'll be waking up and immediately I will have this neurodegenerative disorder. No, gradually it will occur. The symptoms, the initial symptoms or a little amount of symptoms will occur initially, and this symptoms will gradually when it will exaggerate, right? And at the later stages of the life, we may have the severe or the serious signs and symptoms for this kind of neurodegenerative disorders. The meaning itself says, when the time will go on, when we are getting older, right, gradually the neurons are getting damaged. Now the point is, why the neurons are getting damaged? There are so many factors for this one. If you see this chart, you will come to know, right? This is the normal brain. This is a normal brain. In the normal brain, there are certain neurotoxic materials, those who are acting all the time, right? Of course our brains are having the capacity to resist, but then also when the time will go on, the effect will be more. Now the mitochondrial dysfunction, the mitochondrial dysfunctions, there are certain things which will lead to the dysfunction of the mitochondria, which is a reservoir of the energy, right? Next one is a ROS generation, reactive oxygen species. ROS is a kind of free radicals. We know the free radicals, right? It is a kind of substance where in the outermost cell there is a extra electron, and this extra electron always try to react with somebody else. Whenever this extra electron will react with the another one, the second one will become the free radical and the first one will become the compound. Gradually one chain reaction will produce. For example, suppose A is a free radical, B is the nearby cell or nearby substance. Now the A will try to get the electron from the B. Now A will become stable. Now B is a free radical. Same way C will be the free radical, D will be the free radical, and this is a kind of chain reactions. There are production of free radicals all the time in our body because we have so many biochemical reactions in our body. Without biochemical reactions, without the conversions, we cannot live, right? Production of enzymes, so many things are there, proteins, we got so many biochemical reactions, and during these biochemical reactions there are production of various free radicals, and these free radicals are harmful for us, not only for the brain, for the each and every part of the body. Okay, so as the time will go on, the free radical generation will be more. Of course we have the defensive mechanisms in against of these free radicals also, ठीक है? बट जब क्या होता है, जब हम लोग का मतलब बुढ़ापा आ जाता है ना, तो डिफेंसिव मैकेनिज्म्स आर गेटिंग डिक्रीज्ड, है ना, So the aggressions are more, that is why the free radical associated damage of the brain is more. Okay. Next one is depositions of amyloid. It is a kind of protein. This protein is not good for the brain itself. Not only amyloid, we have another protein also, we'll find in the later slides. Okay. So deposition of certain proteins can cause a problem, or the, we can say, degeneration of the neurons, right? So genetic factor, genetically we know if there is a genetic problem from the offspring, from the parents to the offspring itself, it can lead to the damage of the brains. Along with that, any other metal accumulations. Here you see some metal, if it is accumulated on the brain, it can lead to the neurodegenerative diseases, right? So we got so many neurodegenerative diseases. Here are certain examples. For example, we have Alzheimer's disease, which is called as the dementia. Dementia means forgetting something, forgetfulness. Very frequently, if we'll forget, if I just forget something, this is what we call as the Alzheimer's diseases. This is because of the injury in the hippocampus as well as the cortex, cerebral cortex, right? We know what is cerebral cortex, the part. This part is the cerebral cortex. Next is the Parkinson disease. Parkinson disease is the disabling of the motor impairment. Disabling motor impairment. Sorry, I just made a mistake. It is disabling motor impairment. That means what? Like the motor nerve is mainly responsible here in case of this. I mean, in case of the I'm saying especially in case of this Parkinson disease, right, where there is a problem in the movement. The motor nerve, which is responsible for the movement of the body, movement of the hands, right, movement of the feet, and a movement of the, we can say, muscles of the trunk as well as, you know, that lips, etc. Right, so there certain problem will be there in that movement. There will be no coordinated movement in this Parkinson diseases, right? So here actually what is happening, mainly the dopaminergic neurons are destructed. The neurodegeneration of the dopaminergic neurons in the Parkinson disease we'll study later on, right? Okay, next one is the Huntington's chorea, which is mainly by means of this, you know, GABAergic destruction of the GABAergic striatonigral pathway, okay, which is impairing the movement as well as cognitive and psychiatric symptoms. And striatonigral, from the substantia nigra to the striatum, corpus striatum, the pathway is called as a striatonigral pathway. We have seen this one in the previous videos, right? Next one is a amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, degeneration of the spinal, bulbar as well as cortical neurons. Weakens muscles. The muscles are getting weakened. Okay, we do not have that much of strength of the muscles. Again, neurodegenerative, because here also we have the degeneration of the neurons. And finally, we can say multiple sclerosis, which is the autoimmune disease where the myelinated nerves are getting affected. There is a demyelination of the myelinated nerves. Okay, matlab that myelin sheath will be shading off. The myelin, if the myelin sheath is there, then what will happen? The nerve flow, the nerve impulse is very fast. So in this case, what will happen? The nerve impulse will be less, and the person will feel weak. Muscle weakness will be there. Any other movement disorders can be there, right? So gradually these are happening. But here today mainly we are concerning about this Parkinson disease. Alright. Now Parkinson disease is a chronic and progressive neurodegenerative disorder of the basal ganglia and other nerve cells of the brain system that primarily affects movement. That means in that Parkinson disease, there is a progressive neurodegeneration of the nerves or the neurons present on the basal ganglia. It is important. Mainly in the basal ganglia. I will study what is basal ganglia again, right? Now what it will do, it will affects the movement. Just I told you, it will affects the movement, uncoordinated movements. But one thing we must understand, it's not like that it will cause the muscle paralysis. It's not like that it will cause the directly, skeletal muscle relaxants. है ना? I mean, the muscle tone will not be directly decreased, or the muscle tones will not be directly zero. Of course, decrease will be there. Some kind of, we can say inhibition will be there, but not like zero. Here mainly what is happening, there are problems in the coordinations. For example, just to listen this one carefully, ठीक है, just for your understanding. ये सब answers में नहीं लिखना है, just to make you understand. Suppose you want to hold a pen. For holding a pen, what you will do? Which muscles you will be focusing on? Maybe on your thumb as well as the first finger. ठीक है, that means the index finger as well as middle finger. These three fingers are mainly responsible. Okay, but the person, those who are having this kind of Parkinson disease, they will try to hold the pen, but they cannot properly. They will hold the pen but not properly. So what will happen? The handwriting will be the worst one. The handwriting will be the first affected. Getting my point? Here this is an example. So here you see the characteristic of this Parkinson disease. First one is a pill rolling tremor. Pill rolling tremor. Pill rolling tremor means what? The index finger and the thumb of the patient, they will just will be in touch. They will try to contact. The patients will try to contact both the index finger as well as the thumb, and they will try to roll here. They will try to roll here as if they are keeping something in between these two fingers, and they are just trying to crush. As if. ठीक है, मान लो पेशेंट ने in between the thumb and the index finger कुछ रख दिया है, and he is trying to crush that one. For that purpose, what he will do? He will just roll. He will roll both the index as well as thumb. This is what we call as pill rolling tremor. Tremor means what? Involuntary, contraction, relaxations, right? Involuntary shaking, and the patients will shake their hand. This is what we call as tremor. Next one is a unstable or stooped posture. Here you see, if you look at this patient, he cannot stand properly. There is certain banding, right, of there. You can say this is what vertebral column, right? है ना? Alright, so this is what we call as stooped posture or unstable postures. Next one, no arm swinging in rhythm with legs. Now just think of when you are walking, your hands are with rhythm. Your hands are in rhythm with your legs. If you are putting your right leg forward, along with that your left arm will move forward. Then if you are putting your left leg forward, the right arm will be going forward. This is in a kind of rhythm. But the patients, those who are having this Parkinson disease, this kind of rhythmic structure could not be found. Okay. Now next one is a siluria. Siluria means what? You see, dropping of the saliva. Okay. There is always excess secretion of saliva from the mouth, and there is a dropping of saliva. The patients could not control this one. Why? Because if that person tries to control also, they cannot. Because what? Why? He got problem in the muscles of the cheeks. Right. Next one is the oculogyric crisis. Here you see, it is a condition where the pupil, or we can say the eyeball, is moving upwards. this girl is having, one-sided Parkinson disease. I mean, the left side is affected. That is why the left eye is going upwards. You see how the conditions. Involuntary tremors. You see, involuntary, uncontrollable shaking, vibration of the hands automatically. This thing you can see if you observe a aged person, no? Maximum of the aged persons, they have this kind of symptoms, right? Mask facial expressions. Facial expressions, all of us know. If we want to express something, right? Maybe the anger, maybe the we can say enjoyment, smiling. We got certain facial expressions. Just think of smile. If you want to smile, what you do, right? There are certain changes of the lips as well as the cheeks. But in case of the Parkinson disease patients, they might be smiling, but their facial expressions cannot be changed or may not be changed. Why? Because they got the problem of the muscle of the cheeks as well as maybe the lips also. Masking means what? Mask mane okhomia dhaki dia jitu koy, fix, fixing the facial expressions. Next one is a kinesias. Kinesias means problem in movement. Problem in movement. Here akinesia means no movement. The person cannot move properly. It is in the excess conditions. When the Parkinson's will be severe, the persons will be unable to move. If you make somebody stand means they will feel very difficult to move from one place to another place. Okay. Next one is a bradykinesia, where the movement will be there but it is very, very slow. Okay. Now if you just think of, if this patient is walking, this patient cannot walk in a normal manner. Okay. He will be just putting small steps forward. धीरे धीरे आगे जाएगा. This is what we call as bradykinesia. অসমীয়া যেটো থৰক বৰক বুলি কয়, ঠিক আছে না, থৰক বৰককে খোজ কৰা যেটো কয়, right? Akinesia means if he keeps on standing this way, then he will be just standing. ठीक है? There is no movement. Now akathesia, that means what? The problem in posture. ठीक है? Problem in, we can say standing properly, right? The person could not stand properly. He will just keeps on the person will not be stable, we can say, right? Getting my point? Now next one is a certain other points regarding this akathesia. Okay. Here what will happen? The persons will not be able to sit still. बैठना है तो पूरा एकदम सीधा करके नहीं बैठ पाएंगे. You will feel like restlessness. ठीक है, restlessness समझ में आता है ना? बहुत सारा माने over tired. You will feel like this one. This is what we call as the akathesia. Next one is a rigidity. Rigidity माने की the fixed muscle strength, we can say. ठीक है? Then suppose a person's hand is under rigidity, right? Then what will happen? He cannot move the hands properly. ठीक है? Or maybe he will not be bent the hands properly. In general क्या होता है? Because elbow we can bend our hands, no? If the rigidity occurs, the hands will be straight. They cannot bend this one properly. Rigid, very rigid, the meaning is. Nervous depressions. Of course, if a person is having all this kind of things, all this kind of problems, he could not sit still, he could not walk properly, right? Some tremors will be there, siluria will be there. And then of course you will have certain kind of depressions, nervous depressions, right? Next one is a seborrhea. It is also said as seborrheic dermatitis. It is the conditions where this kind of red patches will be there. Here you see red patches of the skin will be there, seborrhea. This is the characteristic of this Parkinson disease. Now another point, if due to any other causes the patient is having any of the symptoms or any 2 or 3 symptoms of this, then we are saying this one as a Parkinsonism or Parkinson like symptoms. Exactly, it is because of the Parkinson disease, right? It is because of any other problem, okay, which can lead to the Parkinsonism, or we are saying this one as a Parkinsonism, right? Here you see the definitions. We can see Parkinsonism is any condition that have common characteristics of the movement abnormalities seen in Parkinson disease. Any of the characteristic if it is present, then we are saying this one as a Parkinsonism. Okay. Now Parkinson disease can be of the primary as well as secondary. Okay. Primary Parkinson disease and secondary Parkinson disease, but the term Parkinson disease is totally limited to the primary Parkinson disease. Okay. Maybe for secondary we can say this one as a Parkinsonism, because we have certain other diseases because of what, because of what we got the problem or sign and symptoms of this Parkinson disease. So primarily means of unknown cause. Primarily Parkinson disease, it is of unknown cause. It is said as idiopathic. Idiopathic means from unknown cause, right? So it is occur due to the genetic predispositions. That means from parents to the offspring. Then again, aging of the brains due to free radical damage. Just I told you here, destruction of the dopaminergic neurons, 80% in the basal ganglia. I'll tell you what is basal ganglia. All right. So the dopaminergic neurons are getting destructed in the basal ganglia. Right. So this primarily Parkinson disease are said to be mainly the Parkinson disease. Okay. So if somebody says Parkinson disease, we have to understand it is mainly the idiopathic or primary Parkinson disease. Okay. Same way secondary means it is of by means of certain other causes, known cause as well as curable also. If you cure that particular conditions, your Parkinsonism will be cured, right? So this term is limited to the Parkinsonism. I think you are clear right now. No, it can occur due to the antipsychotic drugs also. Okay, why antipsychotic drugs? Because you see, in Parkinson disease or Parkinsonism, there is a decrease in the dopamine level. I'll explain later on, but here remember there is a decrease in the dopamine. In psychosis there is an increase in the dopamine. ठीक है, साइकोसिस में क्या होता है, डोपामिन लेवल ज़्यादा होता है. So what you will take? You will take antipsychotic drugs. It will make the dopamine down. It will decrease the dopamine level. That is why it can precipitate in the Parkinsonism. Very simple. है ना? I'll discuss later on. Next is the poisoning of manganese carbon monoxide as well as poisoning of manganese carbon monoxide as well as MPTP, 1-methyl 1,4-phenyl 1,2,3,6 tetrahydropyridine. It is a kind of chemical compound which is accidentally discovered while discovering other drugs. Okay. Now this MPTP is used as a research tool to injure Parkinson disease in case of the animals. To study this kind of effect of drugs, it is used as a research tool. Okay. All right. All right. So here look upon certain points regarding the genetic as well as neuropathological features of and the neurotransmitter role in Parkinson's disease. Right. So genetic features definitely from parents to the offspring. Genetically, what happened? There are certain mutations. There are certain mutations of the functional protein of the brain. Right. for example, we got these 3 functional proteins, actually 4 we have. This Lewy bodies are also a kind of protein inside the brain, but it is the kind of destructive protein. If there is a deposition of this Lewy bodies on your brain, okay, at that time what it will do, it will lead to the Parkinson disease. But here genetically, if there is a mutation of these 3 proteins, right, alpha synuclein, parkin, as well as ubiquitin, these 3 proteins, if the genetically mutated, that time it can lead to the Parkinson disease. But exactly whether this mutation of these 3 proteins are causing Parkinson disease or not, still under research. But it is found in case of the Parkinson disease patients, these 3 proteins are genetically mutated. It is found already, right? But whether this is causing that Parkinson disease or not, still under research. Okay. Now in case of this Parkinson disease patients, right, there is a degeneration of the darkly pigmented dopaminergic neurons in the substantia nigra. Substantia nigra we studied, right? We have seen nigrostriatal pathway, dopaminergic pathways, right, this way. So that dopaminergic neurons are getting destructed. Now what will happen, there is a loss of dopamine in the corpus striatum, which is also said as the neostriatum. Okay, this corpus striatum is nothing but the basal ganglia. It is a part of the basal ganglia. Okay, so basal ganglia, it is sometimes pronounced as basal ganglia. So whatever you want, you can pronounce. Okay. Next, presence of intracellular inclusion bodies known as Lewy bodies. This is nothing but the protein. Lewy bodies are the destructive protein which is found in case of the Parkinson patients. Okay. So as a role, what will happen, we got both acetylcholine and dopamine neurotransmitter in the central nervous system, that is in the brain. So in case of this Parkinson disease, there is a decrease in the dopamine level and increase in the acetylcholine level, because this dopamine function is opposed by the acetylcholine all the time. Okay, so dopamine function is opposed by the acetylcholine. Now if there is a decrease in the dopamine, now what will happen, increase in the acetylcholine. Now where there is a decrease in the dopamine, in the basal ganglia. Okay, in the basal ganglia, and this basal ganglia is responsible for the coordinated movement. It is also responsible for the, you can say, that tone of the muscle tone. It is also responsible for the reflex muscle contraction, etc. That means all the motor effect, MOTO, or motor effect, is carried out by or maintained by this, this kind of basal ganglia. Okay. Now the substantia nigra, we can say it is associated with this basal ganglia. So here in that basal ganglia or in the substantia nigra, there is a degeneration of the dopaminergic neurons. That means what will happen, dopamine synthesis will be less, so acetylcholine will be more. Now it can lead to the Parkinson disease. So you can write these things in the examinations, but after this one, whatever the things, that means sites, neuronal circuit and physiological role of basal ganglia or basal nuclei, these things just for your understanding. इसको एग्जाम पे नहीं लिखना है, because like it will take huge time as well as थोड़ा complicated भी हो जाएगा. ठीक है, पहला वाला लिखो, ये सब नहीं लिखना है. This is for your understanding. ठीक है. Now first of all, we need to know what is the basal ganglia or basal nuclei, right? The ganglia is what we studied in case of the peripheral nervous system. Ganglia is a collection of the cell bodies, right, which is similar to the synapse outside the CNS. If something it is present in the CNS, it is not said as the ganglia. Getting my point? So nowadays I mean, some scientists are trying to alter the name basal ganglia to basal nuclei, but the neuroscientists, they are not accepting that one. They are saying no, it should be basal ganglia. Let it be as it was earlier. Okay, so we can use both the thing, basal ganglia as well as basal nuclei. Ganglia is a term which is used in case of the peripheral nervous system, but the concept is same. It is a collection of the cell bodies where a certain junctions will be there, where there is a production of the neurotransmitter as well as communication of the impulse or impulse flowing. But as this one is a CNS, so we can say this one is a basal ganglia also or basal nuclei also. Okay, it is a collective structure. Basal ganglia or basal ganglia, it is a collective structure inside the central nervous system. So many parts are associated with this one. Okay, it is a masses of gray matter. Inside the CNS we got certain things called as a white matter, certain things called as a gray matter. These are the, although it's bluish in color, just to make you understand only, but ultimately it is the gray matter. These are all other gray matters. Okay, so it is a masses of gray matter deep within the cerebral hemisphere. That means what? This basal ganglia. Now this basal ganglia, we got certain components. What are the components? Globus pallidus as well as putamen. See, globus pallidus and putamen. Okay, so globus pallidus and putamen all together, it is said as a lentiform nucleus. Okay, and here we have this caudate nucleus. Getting my point? Lentiform nucleus as well as caudate nucleus. Now all together, caudate nucleus, putamen, globus pallidus, all together we are saying this one is a corpus striatum. Okay, corpus striatum, which is nothing but the basal ganglia. That means the parts of the basal ganglia is globus pallidus, putamen as well as caudate nucleus. Okay, now if you take a look into the globus pallidus, in this globus pallidus there are certain segments. Okay, there are certain segments. Two segments I am just naming here because it is of importance. That is the lateral as well as medial. Two segments are there here. Lateral globus pallidus as well as medial globus pallidus. We'll find this one in the next slides. Okay. Next thing, some structures which is functionally linked to the basal ganglia, but not some. In some book it is written as a part of the basal ganglia. In some book it is written as a functionally linked to the basal ganglia. So you can write both the things. One is the substantia nigra, second one is the subthalamic nuclei. Here you see substantia nigra and subthalamic nuclei or nucleus. From the substantia nigra there is a origination of the dopaminergic neurons. There is origination of the dopaminergic neurons. Getting my point? Okay. Now the substantia nigra also are having two parts. Okay, are having two parts. We'll find later on what are the two parts. Next, what is the purpose of this corpus striatum or the basal ganglia? Because corpus striatum is a part of the basal ganglia, or both the terms are used interchangeably. We can say basal ganglia also, we can say corpus striatum also. Okay. Now what is the function of this one? Regulation of voluntary movement as well as learning of motor skills. Very important. Okay, very important. You are holding a pen. For holding a pen, there has to be a muscle contraction of this index finger as well as thumb and the middle finger. Now if you are writing, there is a voluntary movement, coordinated movement. If you are writing any letter, any kind of any drawing, there is a coordinated movement by this kind of fingers. Then only you can draw anything, you can write anything. Getting my point? If the voluntary movement is affected, what will happen? You can write, but the drawing will not be proper. Your handwriting will not be good, or even you cannot write also. Simply you can put a mark, but you cannot write. Now the point is, when after the birth, ठीक है, जन्म होने के बाद, after the birth, after getting birth, right, can you directly hold the pen and write the letters? Is it possible? Or maybe after getting birth, right, can you simply stand up and walk? Can you simply play cricket? Can you simply play badminton? Is it possible? No. At various stages of life, as we are growing older, we are learning so many things. When we were just kids, we learned how to hold the pen, how to write the letter. That means what? We are learning the motor skills. कैसे लिखना है, हाथ को कैसे घुमाना है. We are learning. Who is responsible for this one? I am learning means what? Who is learning? This basal ganglia is learning. Getting my points? You are learning how to play cricket. You are learning how to play badminton. You are not learning. Who is learning? Your basal ganglia is learning that one. Okay? Driving a car, riding a bike. So all the time we need to keep on learning various motor skills. Okay? This basal ganglia is taking an active role in case of this kind of voluntary movement as well as learning of motor skills. Next, what it will do, it will control the muscle tone. Muscle tone already we studied, right? So it will control the reflex muscular activity, reflex actions. We know this one, reflex action, right? And it will also have a role in the arousal mechanism, waking up, right? So these are the main functions of this basal ganglia. Now the corpus striatum of the basal ganglia will receive the impulse from the cerebral cortex. It will receive the impulse from the cerebral cortex this way. This is the cerebral cortex. This is the cerebral cortex. It will receive the impulse. Okay? What kind of impulse will be received? Sensory impulse will be received. Again, it will send back the motor impulse. It will send back the motor impulse. What is the purpose of this cortex? We have studied already. The cortex are having various points, various centers, which is we can say which is connected by the efferent or efferent nerves. Efferent or efferent nerves. So the cortex will receive the sensory impulse. Now the sensory impulse will come to this point, to the basal ganglia. Okay? Now this basal ganglia will give the motor impulse, then again it will go to the cortex. From the cortex it will go to the peripheral part of the body. Again I am telling you, from the peripheral part of the body sensory impulse will be coming. Now sensory impulse, it will stay here. It will come to the cortex, special point of the cortex. Now this sensory impulse will go to the basal ganglia. Okay? The basal ganglia will give certain order in terms of motor impulse, then again it will go to the cerebral cortex. Now finally this impulse will move via efferent peripheral nerves. Okay? I think you understood this one. Alright. Now Now the point is how this basal ganglia or basal nuclei or basal nuclei is helping in coordinating the various impulses. ठीक है. Now मान लो from cerebral cortex there is a receiving of the impulse by the corpus stratum. I told you cerebral cortex, I mean the corpus stratum, or which is a part of nothing but the part of the basal ganglia, right? So it will receive the impulse and it will send the impulse back. Again I am telling you, it will receive the impulse and it will send the impulse back to the cerebral cortex. Okay. Now there are two pathways via which the corpus stratum will receive the impulse from the cerebral cortex. This is the one pathway, this one is the another pathway. Okay. Now the nerve, those who are connecting the cerebral cortex to the corpus stratum, these are glutaminergic nerve. Glutaminergic nerve means these are excitatory nerve. It can cause excitations. Okay. First point, from cerebral cortex one excitatory impulse will come to the corpus stratum. Okay. Now from the corpus stratum one inhibitory impulse will move to the substantia nigra pars reticulata. Substantia nigra you know already, right? This is what? Inhibitory nerve. This is very complicated, try to understand. Inhibitory nerve. From this point again another inhibitory nerve will go to the thalamus, GABA. Then again from thalamus the glutaminergic or excitatory nerve will move to the cerebral cortex, and finally it will go as a motor output, and efferent nerves. Getting my point? This is one pathway which is said as the direct pathway, and this one is the indirect pathway. In that indirect pathway corpus stratum will receive the impulse from cerebral cortex, which is a glutaminergic impulse, excitatory. From glutaminergic, from this corpus stratum the impulse will move to the globus pallidus lateralis. I told you lateral and as well as medial. Okay, lateralis, which is the inhibitory, because GABA is there. GABA will cause the inhibitions. From globus pallidus lateralis to subthalamic nucleus, which is also inhibitory. It is said as the indirect pathway. This pathway is said as the indirect pathway. Okay. From the subthalamic nucleus the glutaminergic impulse will go to the substantia nigra pars reticulata as well as globus pallidus medialis, which is the glutaminergic, right? Now from this point the pathway is same: GABA, thalamus, glutaminergic, cerebral cortex, finally motor output. ठीक है. Now इसका मीनिंग क्या है? The meaning is cerebral cortex will cause the excitation of corpus stratum. ठीक है, it will cause excitation of corpus stratum. Why it will cause excitation? Because it is the glutaminergic nerve, है ना? Now corpus stratum, ठीक है, will cause the excitation of the GABA. It will activate the GABA. Sorry, GABA is activate means what? Ultimately, it will cause the inhibition of this one, because GABA is a inhibitory pathway. It will cause the inhibition of this one, है ना? If it is inhibited, ठीक है, that means what? This GABA, this pathway will not be activated, because it is already inhibited, na? It is already inhibited. So this pathway will not be activated. If this pathway is not activated, so the thalamus will not be depressed. Will not be depressed means ki thalamus will be activated. If the thalamus is activated, what will happen? Glutaminergic, then again cerebral cortex will be activated. Okay? If the cerebral cortex is activated, it will initiate certain movement. It will give the motor impulse via efferent nerves. Okay? So certain movement will be there. Maybe movement of your feet, movement of your hands, movement of your chin, anything, muscle contraction, these things can be there. One pathway. Okay? In that another pathway, same way, the glutaminergic nerve will activate this corpus stratum. Okay? Now it will activate this GABA nerve. If the GABAergic nerve is activated, it will be depressed. Globus pallidus will be depressed. If globus pallidus is depressed, it cannot activate GABA. That means what? The subthalamic nucleus will be activated. Okay? Now if the subthalamic nucleus is activated, it can cause excitation because of this glutaminergic. That means what? This substantia nigra as well as globus pallida will be activated. Okay? If this part is activated, then again here GABA nerve will be activated. GABA is an inhibitory nerve. So if this GABA is activated, then thalamus will be depressed because GABA is an inhibitory nerve. Thalamus will be depressed. Okay? So if the thalamus is depressed, it cannot activate the glutaminergic nerve. It cannot activate the glutaminergic nerve. That means there is a decrease in the motor output. So this pathway will increase in the motor output. This pathway will decrease in the motor output. Ultimately there is a balance. Okay? Balance will be there. Furthermore, this kind of balance will be maintained by the dopaminergic nerve, which is originated from the substantia nigra pars compacta. Substantia nigra pars compacta. Okay? This one stays along with this one. This one stays along with this one. But it will be very confused. That is why I have drawn this one separately. Okay? Now from substantia nigra pars compacta, there is a origination of the dopaminergic nerve. That means this nerve will contain dopamine neurotransmitters. Okay? So in that corpus stratum, there are two kinds of dopamine neurotransmitters, D1 as well as D2. Because of D2, there is a inhibition. Because of D1, there is an excitations. Okay? Via this pathway, dopamine will excite this pathway. Okay? Same as that one, excite this pathway, and via this pathway the dopamine will depress this pathway. Okay? Also there are certain interneurons. Interneurons means the internal, the neurons, those who are connecting the internal structures. Okay? Internal structures of any component. Okay? Here we got certain cholinergic interneurons which is acting in a muscarinic receptor will be there. I am not writing here. Here also muscarinic receptor will be there. Okay? So acetylcholine will be secreted in the interneurons. That means the neuron is inside this corpus stratum. बाहर से नहीं आ रहा है, अंदर ही है. Cholinergic neurons. Right? So this cholinergic neuron will secrete the acetylcholine, and this acetylcholine will oppose the dopamine. Here it will oppose this one, and here it will oppose this one. Mane here at this junction acetylcholine will oppose the excitatory function of the dopamine. Okay, here the acetylcholine will oppose the inhibitory function of the dopamine. Understood? अगर समझ में नहीं आ रहा है तो बार बार देखो, इट इज़ वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. ठीक है, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड, समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है. बार बार देखो, घुमा घुमा, जस्ट पॉज दिस वन, देन अगेन यू वॉच. ठीक है, देन अगेन यू पॉज, देन अगेन यू वॉच, अदरवाइज इट विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड. ठीक है, नाउ अभी क्या होता है इन केस ऑफ दिस ये Parkinson disease, these dopaminergic nerves are degenerated. So if the dopaminergic nerves are degenerated, that means what will happen? Dopamine will decrease. है ना? Dopamine is decreased means what? Here the acetylcholine function will be increased ना? है ना? Dopamine यहाँ पे कमती होगा means क्या है? Acetylcholine ज़्यादा हो जाएगा, because acetylcholine is responsible for opposing the effect of dopamine. Both are 50-50. Dopamine कमती हो गया, अगर 20 हो जाएगा, acetylcholine will be 80. Getting my points? ठीक है? And if these things happen, so whole system will be disbalanced. This whole system will be disbalanced. ठीक है? Now, if there is an imbalance, ठीक है? So if there is an imbalance, finally what will happen? This motor output will be affected. ठीक है? This motor output will be affected. This direct pathway will be suppressed. ठीक है? This direct pathway will be suppressed and this pathway will be overactivated. ठीक है? This pathway will be suppressed. Why it will be suppressed? Because dopaminergic cause the activation and acetylcholine will cause the deactivation. है ना? उल्टा होता है ना? Dopaminergic will cause the excitation, so acetylcholine will cause the inhibition via muscarinic receptor. So dopamine कमती हो जाएगा. That means what? Acetylcholine ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. Now acetylcholine will cause the inhibition of this pathway. Now here dopamine will cause the inhibition. Acetylcholine will cause the excitation via muscarinic receptors. ठीक है? Now if there is a inhibition of this dopamine, acetylcholine, what it will do? Cause more excitations. That means this pathway will be over excited and this pathway will be over depressed. Getting my points? If there is a degeneration of this kind of dopaminergic nerves, finally what is the results? Will be getting some problem in the imbalance motor output. ठीक है? Some imbalance motor output will be getting, which results as a uncoordinated movement disorders. Whatever we have studied, that we can say sign and symptoms, the characteristics, this kind of problem will arise. ठीक है? Now पहला वाला उसमें एग्जाम पे लिखने का कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. ठीक है? दिस इज फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. नाउ दिस इज द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ ड्रग्स. ठीक है? सो in the classification of drugs, these are the drugs which will increase the dopamine content, because see, in Parkinson there is a decrease in the dopamine as well as increase in the acetylcholine. है ना? These are the drugs which will increase the dopamine and these are the drugs which will decrease the acetylcholine. which can be said as a treatment for Parkinson disease. But more precisely, there is no 100% effective treatment for Parkinson disease, as this one is a neurodegenerative disorder. Okay, as this one is a neurodegenerative disorders. Getting my point? The neurons are degenerated, and we know the nerve cells are such kind of cells which is not meant for degenerations. Sorry, which is not meant for generating again and again. Nerve cell क्या होता है? मतलब neurons when it is damaged means it cannot be regenerated again and again. Alright, so these are the drugs. Dopamine precursor, peripheral decarboxylase inhibitors, dopaminergic agonist, monoamine oxidase, B inhibitor, COMT inhibitor. We studied these things in case of this adrenergic drugs. What they will do, they will cause the destruction of the catecholamines, right? Catecholamine orthomethyl transferase. Now this is a dopamine facilitator. Okay, here we have the anticholinergic drugs. Now this is antihistaminic, diphenhydramine, but why it is used? Because it contains certain anticholinergic activity also. Histamine का कोई यहाँ पे directly role नहीं है. ठीक है, it can exhibit certain anticholinergic effect. That is why it can be used if we have this very, we can say less sign and symptoms, or we can say initial phase. Right. So here we are looking at the mechanisms. ध्यान से देखो. In Parkinson, there is a decrease in the dopamine, increase in the acetylcholine. But we cannot directly use the dopamine drug. Why? Because this dopamine cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. It cannot approach the central nervous system. Okay? Dopamine cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. So we are giving a pro-drug. Levodopa is a kind of pro-drug, or what we say, dopamine precursors. So this levodopa can cross the blood-brain barrier. It can enter to the central nervous system. In the central nervous system, it can convert to dopamine. Finally, what will happen? It can act on the dopamine receptor, and there is an increase in the dopamine level. It is the mechanism of levodopa. Now this levodopa is hydrolyzed by the dopa decarboxylase enzyme, which is present especially peripherally. Getting my point? So once there is a degradation of this levodopa, then what will happen? Dopamine will be produced. Now if the dopamine is produced, same thing, dopamine cannot enter to the blood-brain barrier. That means what? The levodopa, if it is given alone, again there may not be crossing of the blood-brain barrier. Why? Because of this dopa decarboxylase enzyme. It will convert levodopa to dopamine. So along with the levodopa, this carbidopa is given. Okay? This carbidopa can be given. A carbidopa, or we can say benzerazide, both the drugs. So what this drug will do? It will block this dopa decarboxylase. So levodopa is not given alone, it is given along with the carbidopa, so that there is no conversion of levodopa to dopamine. Finally, levodopa can easily transfer to the central nervous system. Getting my point? Again, this levodopa can also be metabolized by this COMT, because it is a dopamine precursor. The structure is similar to dopamine. It can metabolized by COMT enzyme, and it will produce the 3-orthomethyl dopa. Getting my point? So we are giving this kind of drugs, entacapone, tolcapone, so that the COMT is blocked. There is no conversion of levodopa to 3-methyl dopa. Getting my point? One mechanism we have studied. Second mechanism we have studied. This is the third mechanism we have studied. Okay, same way also, after entering also, this levodopa can easily hydrolyze to, metabolize to the 3-orthomethyl dopa, which is blocked by this kind of, COMT inhibitors. Tolcapone is a COMT inhibitors. Getting my point? Now, inside the CNS also we have dopa decarboxylase, but we can say the effect is very, very less. That is why we are not targeting this dopa decarboxylase. But this dopamine can again be readily metabolized by this monoamine oxidase B inside the central nervous system. Monoamine oxidase B, and which will produce the dihydroxyphenyl acetic acid. That means what? The dopamine will be deactivated. So dopamine cannot work. Also, by this reaction there is a production of more free radicals, which is again harming the dopaminergic nerve. So we can give this salicylic. Salicylic is what? It is an example of MAOB inhibitors. It will block this MAOB. Okay? So these are the mechanisms. I think you understood. Central anticholinergics, what it will do? Central anticholinergics, what it will do? It will block the muscarinic receptor, okay, which is preferable for the early stages, so that there is no increase in the acetylcholine. Okay. Next, trihexyphenidyl. It is a kind of central anticholinergics. Currently, it is found that there is certain, abusive effect. When drug abuse is very common. Okay? Drug abuse means what? Is somebody is taking a drug for the habitual formations, for the habitual effect, habitually. He got certain pleasures after taking these drugs. This is what we call as a drug abuse. Okay? So trihexyphenidyl is a drug of abuse. Currently it is discovered this way. Okay? That is why so many patients, just to take this trihexyphenidyl, what they do, they just show certain symptoms of this Parkinson disease, so that the doctor will prescribe these drugs, because these drugs are not available without prescription. Next one is the dopamine agonist. This is very good drugs, right? Why it is very good drugs? Because it can directly act on the dopamine receptor. So it doesn't depend on the we can say functional integrity of the dopaminergic neurons, nigrostriatal dopaminergic neurons, right? So there may be damage of the or degeneration of the dopaminergic neurons, but it will directly act on the receptor. Neuron kharab ho gaya to kya hua? Directly it will act on the receptors. That is why it is good, right? So we have bromocriptine and cabergoline, which is a potent D2 agonist as well as D1 antagonist. पीछे जाके देख लो what is the advantage. ठीक है? And ropinirole as well as pramipexole, which is a D2 agonist. Right? So this is the overall mechanism of this anti-Parkinsonian drugs. Alright? Alright, so as levodopa is a very important drug, that is why let's look upon certain points regarding this one. First one is the adverse effects. So what it will cause? It will cause the fluctuation of response. That means if it is used for a long term, there is wearing off effect. Maniki, like whenever we'll keep on using the levodopa, right? Gradually, if we keep on taking this levodopa drug, right, their response will be decreased. As long as the duration of the treatment will be increased, the response will be decreased slowly, right? So it may also develop the on-off phenomena. That means sometimes suddenly it can give the therapeutic effect, or sometimes it do not show any kind of therapeutic effect also. This is why it is said as the on-off phenomena. ठीक है. So in the on state, the patient, we can say it will be like the normal mobility, everything will be normal. And in the off state, again it will show the symptoms of this Parkinson disease. Right. Next one is it can show dyskinesia. That means excessive and abnormal, repetitive, rapid and jerky movements of limbs, trunks, face and tongue, etc. Levodopa ज़्यादा हो गया तो these things can be occurred. ठीक है. And it can cause these vivid dreams. Vivid dreams माने some kind of scary dreams, destructive dreams, right? So delusions is a kind of false belief, right? You gotta believe like somebody will come and kill you, right? Then hallucinations, it is a you can say the perception of this sensory stimulus which do not exist. रात को सोने के टाइम पे you feel like somebody is sleeping with you, somebody is there at your room. This is called as hallucinations. Confusion, sleep disturbances, all are the symptoms of this kind of psychosis. Practically what is happening in Parkinson disease, there is a decrease in the dopamine level. In psychosis, there is an increase in the dopamine level. So if you keep on taking levodopa, what will happen? There is an increase in the dopamine level. So finally there may be precipitation of this psychosis. Okay. Next, postural hypotension. Postural hypotension can be there because of this D2 peripheral D2 receptor in that small we can say capillaries, which can cause vasodilations. So cardiac arrhythmia in some patients, very rare because of alpha 1 and beta 1 activation by dopamine, right? Anorexia, loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting can be there, which is because of the activation of this chemoreceptor trigger zone, which is there in the brain, which can lead to the nausea and vomiting, right? It can cause mydriasis, and as it can cause mydriasis, so there may be a glaucoma. There may be certain abnormalities in the smell or taste. Hot flushes can be there. Hot flushes meaning ki suddenly feeling hot, right? The women are like maximum suffering from this problem, hot flushes. Now precipitation of gout, deposition of the uric acid, which is called as gout, right? So mild increase in blood urea, serum transaminase, alkaline phosphatase, bilirubin, these things can be there. Now the contraindications where this levodopa should not be used in case of the psychosis. I told you why. I told you. Narrow angle glaucoma. I just told you. Cardiac arrhythmia. You have seen here, right? Now melanoma. Melanoma is a condition where there is an increase in the melanin, right? So melanin can be formed from the levodopa. Levodopa can work as a precursor for melanin also. That is why there is an increase in the melanin. Melanin is a kind of hormone, right? We know this one, which induces the sleep, right? Next is the drug interactions. The vitamin B6 or pyridoxine, it is a cofactor for the dopa-decarboxylase enzyme. That means this vitamin B6 is required for the production of this dopa-decarboxylase. And what this dopa-decarboxylase can do? It can cause the conversion of levodopa to dopamine. So there is a we can say drug interactions, right? So they may finally the therapeutic effect can be decreased. So monoamine oxidase A, it is an enzyme. Mainly dopamine is degraded by MAO-B, but MAO-A can also slightly degrade the dopamine, right? So MAO-A inhibitors, it can increase the toxicity of the levodopa. Next, if we keep on taking the protein rich diet, this protein is converted to the amino acid, right? Now this both amino acid and levodopa compete for the transport. ठीक है. In the transportation mechanism, both the things compete to each another. ठीक है. Then that is why this levodopa should be taken at least half an hour before this meal. ठीक है. Next one is a tricyclic antidepressant. We'll study later on what is that. It will decrease the absorption of this levodopa. Alright. So finally, let's look upon some notes, special notes and ADR of various classes of drugs. First, COMT inhibitors, tolcapone as well as entacapone. Right. So these are useful for decreasing the levodopa dose. Already we studied the levodopa can cause certain ADR, like wearing off effect, on and off effect, right? That is why to decrease the doses of the levodopa, this kind of tolcapone and entacapone can be used. It's a very good combinations, like levodopa, carbidopa as well as tolcapone or entacapone. So the tolcapone is for both central and peripheral effects, entacapone especially for peripherally acting, especially it is a peripheral blocker. Okay. And tolcapone is slightly more potent, and it's having the longer duration of actions. Adverse effects, this kinesia already you have seen in the last slide, right? Sudden involuntary some exaggerate, or you can say repetitive movements, nausea, diarrhea, postural hypotension, sleep disturbances. Okay. Now the salicylic ADR, salicylic is what? It is a MAOB inhibitors. So it can cause insomnia. That is why it's not given at night, right? So the precise time for administration of this salicylic is after the breakfast and after the lunch, right? Also, this salicylic is not administered with tricyclic antidepressant as well as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, because it can cause hyperpyrexia. It is a kind of acute reactions, right? Hyperpyrexia it is called as an increase in the temperature of the body, right? Agitations, that means a kind of anxiety or nervous excitement. It's a kind of anxiety, agitations. Delirium is a kind of, you can say it's a kind of mental state, right? It's a kind of mental state where illusions can be there, restlessness can be there, and fever can also be there. It's a kind of mental state, sudden confusion, we can say, sudden acute confusions. Then coma, all of us know, right? Next one is bromocriptine as well as cabergoline. Bromocriptine and cabergoline, already we know this one, we studied what is the mechanism of action and etc., right? It is a kind of dopamine agonist. We got so many advantages of this one, because it can use in case of this degenerated nerves also, because directly it can work on the dopamine receptors. So this bromocriptine and cabergoline, it is a amine ergot derivative. That is why it's having certain ADR. But the newer drugs, like we can say ropinirole as well as pramipexole, these are very new and very less side effects are there. Here it can cause anorexia, nausea, vomiting, vertigo, postural hypotensions, right? Painless, peripheral vasospasm, peripheral edema, okay? Pleural fibrosis, we know that some problem, fibrous tissues, right? Fibrosis can be there. Then erythromelalgia, it is a condition where the joints are swollen, the joints of feet and hands are swollen, and some kind of red will be there, redness will be there, tenderness will be there, as well as certain pain will also be there. Getting my points? Now the last class of drugs, that is anticholinergic. So the anticholinergic drugs will of course show the anti-muscarinic side effects. For example, dry mouth, blurred vision, urinary retentions, constipation, confusion, delirium, hallucinations, etc. This confusion, delirium, hallucinations, these things will occur at higher doses, right? So this is the ending of this chapter. I am trying to cover as much as possible. Hope you understood nicely. And see, this is for your understanding only. Like for writing in the examinations, you don't need to write so many things. So you just make your own notes and study well. Alright? Thank you.